A pack of more like a pack of lies.
That was the one you were holding on to?
Yeah.
I like that. Hello and welcome to another episode of Volume 1, the anime and manga podcast where we highlight and discuss a new series each week. Today, my name is Josh Odakawa Michaels, and today I am joined by
Mehgan Dodo Perrine.
Oh, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Volume 1. We're shaking it up again. This week we're doing something a little different. It's still going to be something that you can watch and listen to. If you haven't seen this series, the first half of this conversation is going to be a spoiler-free discussion, because if you have not seen this series, I don't mean to jump the gun, but I think we both implore you to watch it. And then the second half of this episode is going to be a spoiler discussion. We want to start doing this more often, covering manga each week, but also covering anime each week, because we are an anime and manga podcast.
Really?
A lot of people don't know. A lot of people just think we're a One Piece podcast.
Oh.
Which we kind of are, you know?
In a way, but we do like to talk about other series too.
We do.
Yeah.
So this is a series that is, not necessarily hyped. I think a lot of people are talking about it. I think that no amount of hype is enough hype for this show.
I know.
It's a series that a lot of people were talking about last season. It came out in 2021. It came out last year.
Yeah, I think it came out spring 2021. So just around the time, I think we have a couple more weeks until the new spring, season comes out. So It is interesting, how long it's kind of been since it came out and how long I've been putting it off.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, same too. I can't believe I've been putting it off this long.
And it is interesting because I hear a lot of people talk about it and they kind of had the same experience as me where, you're watching so many other different shows in spring, and there was a lot of good shows that came out, and I watched literally half of the first episode and was like, oh, that was kind of cool, but had no idea what the show actually was, because it does kind of throw you off in really, really smart ways of what the show actually is.
Yeah.
So I kind of put it off personally, and then I came back and I was like,
yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I put it off for so long too. I was so intrigued by the character designs, the world, the animation, the art style, all of it. However, like you said, with so many other things going on, for whatever reason, I never just took the leap and decided to watch it. And I mean, on one hand, I can't even say I regret it, because I'm so glad that I saw it when I saw it. This is a masterpiece, okay? This is must-see TV, okay? Not even anime.
Yeah.
This is must-see. This is almost, I think, a perfect series. I understand why it might be something that on the surface might not seem like it's something for you. However, once you go into it, the deeper you get, you realize that that this is a series that has a lot to say. It's doing a lot of things, and it's doing them all extremely well. It's using the medium of animation and this specific genre to get away with things and slide things past you. I mean, this is masterful, to say the least.
Yeah, I would even go as far to say, I mean, I've seen a lot of anime, and I might put this in my top 10.
It's incredible.
Yeah, it's one of the best animes I'd seen in a long time.
We're gonna express our love and our undying love for this series more. But if you have no idea what Odd Taxi is about, for whatever reason, Volume 1-chan, can you tell them a synopsis for the series, please?
The case of a missing girl the police have been tracking leads back to him, and now both the Yakuza and a duo of corrupt cops are on his tail. Odd Taxi is a bizarre story about a humble taxi driver and the mystery of a lost high schooler.
Gotcha.
Got it.
Already intrigued.
And again, I'm not the best at reading synopsis, so I kind of knew there was a mystery involved, but I didn't know to what extent. It really is a mix of Durara meets BStars and even meets Erased. It's kind of like all of these like great mystery and like city anime. Only the BStars is because it's drama and like, you know, furries and stuff.
Yeah.
But it is just like it's all of those things combined, but does it so much better.
And I would compare this to a Coen Brothers film. Okay, I would compare this. You know, I kept watching this thinking like, this is the Big Lebowski. This is the Big Lebowski. Otakawa is John Goodman, and that monkey is Steve Buscemi. I kept thinking that.
I'm sure there's fan art. Someone put the 2 and 2 together for sure.
I'm sure. But I mean that like in more ways than just thematically. I mean, it is written so incredibly well, directed so incredibly well. I mean, it does so much, and to the point of having so much to say. I mean, you're getting social commentary. It has a plot. It has a narrative. It has a mystery that is essentially the hook for the series, what should be getting you into it. And that's only a small part of what you end up, I think, loving about this series.
Yeah, there's a huge, I don't see it too much in anime, but there is a huge commentary on social media and you know, technology and like the good and the bad, but more so like just showing the nature of it and showing like what it can lead to. And it's super important. Like I haven't really seen anything that's kind of saying it like this in such a realistic way behind these, you know, animal characters that you kind of are like, damn, you know, it's like self-reflection time, you know? It's
you're
crazy.
getting social commentary. I wrote down like a couple things that I think you're getting some social commentary on. And this is sprinkled throughout the actual narrative. This is not, it doesn't so seamlessly. It has an A plot, a B plot, a C plot. So many different characters have so many different stories that are commenting on so many different things, but it's seamless. You're getting social commentary on, I think, comedy, entertainment, social media, fame, society, like the danger of like, you know, like you said, those technologies and these products that these corporations are making, you know, fame. I don't know if I already said that.
Money.
Abuse, trauma, dating. I mean, you're getting, I mean, this is like, and that's just like, I feel like the tip of the iceberg. These are things that I wrote down right before we started recording. There's so many other things I think that this show is saying, and it has something like really interesting to say about all of these things.
And like you said, it is like so seamless. It's not like, oh, we're going to have a full episode dedicated to just this thing and we're going to make sure you know that it's dedicated to just this thing. It's like sprinkled throughout just enough to get the point across from the beginning to the end. And it's phenomenal. I mean, again, back to the dialogue too. It is just so, the comedic timing is great. You feel like these are just people talking, you know, people kind of, you know, you say the Coen brothers, people are saying Tarantino,
yeah,
you know, just
really
because of
the
dialogue, they say, you know, like rhythmic and like back and forth, kind of like realness, I guess. And it just really draws you in, like you really connect with these characters and you don't necessarily have to see a flashback on every one of their lives. It's given to you in dialogue. You understand these characters, you know what they're about, and you don't have to see their whole life story to get where they are now.
Yeah,
that's what's like so amazing, because you know you have characters introduced in every other anime that you have to dedicate a full episode to understanding who they are and what they're doing and how they got here. But it's like oddtaxi, they're just like throwing you in there. They'll give you a little piece of dialogue, and that's all the information you're given.
Yeah,
and it's
the danger of having so many storylines going on at the same time is that inevitably I feel like as a viewer, you're going to start to care more about one story over the other. And the danger is that you might end up caring about a side character story more than you care about your main character story. However, in this, you care equally. I would say my viewing experience of this was caring equally for every story. There was one story that I cared the least about, but it doesn't mean I didn't care. I just cared the least, and that was still a lot compared to how I feel about other people in other series. I mean, I am telling you, there are series that transcend anime, transcend animation, I mean, this is a series I think, you know, people are maybe harsher on Death Note than I thought they were, but I also think that things like Death Note, Attack on Titan, these are series that you can recommend to anybody, whether they're fans of anime or not. And I think that they can enjoy them and find something to enjoy. Odd Taxi, deceiving on the surface for its like, you know, aesthetic, is one of the realest series I've seen in a long time. And I think no matter who you are or who, your friends are, that there's somebody in your life, if you actually manage to sit them down and convince them to take your word for it, that will enjoy this series. Because also, even if you're not connecting to every person or every person's story, because there's so many, there's bound to be 2 or 3 or 1 or 2 that hit really hard for you. And that's something I wanted to ask you a little bit later. Obviously, we're still in the spoiler-free section, but with so many characters, I mean, there were stories that really hit close to home and things that I thought, were really interesting to say, and really added to this conversation that I think is going on. Especially since things have changed, like within entertainment, within comedy, and being surrounded, by people who want to do both, and just having these characters in here talk about being 2 sides of that spectrum and talk about what these things mean to them. Crazy. I mean, it's the only series I've ever watched that has a mystery. And, we've seen other videos in preparation for this video, like a Knives Out or something. And the whole time you're watching Knives Out, which I thought was a good movie, which I thought was a great movie, the whole time you're watching Knives Out, it's a whodunit. You're trying to figure out, or like a Scream, you're trying to figure out, who's behind all of it, what is going on, what is happening. At a certain point in Odd Taxi, like, you stop caring about the mystery to the point where you almost forget it's about a mystery because it's just so much more than that. It's incredible. I implore everybody watching this, if you haven't seen it already, to see it. Not to mention, Mehgan, I know that, you're a sucker for this. I'm a sucker for this too, but, OPs, EDs, OSTs.
Yeah.
Some of the best I've heard in a long time. You've been vibing out to the OST all day in preparation for this episode.
Yeah, it was great. It's so like modern and cool, and the OP's just so like peaceful and like it's like happy and somber. Like, I love a good melancholy like soundtrack, if that makes sense. It's very, very touching, like the music. And there's a song in particular called Fairy Tale by Vava, and it like made me feel things. I think I think it's kind of sprinkled throughout, but it's definitely in the last episode. And I remember the last episode, just it hits like, it's a good OST when a song, and you can think back to that specific moment where they're playing that song, and you just like can relive it. Like, that's what I love too about anime, is like these OSTs, these OPs, the EDs. It takes you right back to where you were when you were watching this series, and it just makes you like feel excited about it again.
I mean, vibey. I'm sitting, down watching this, and I hear a saxophone. Like, what? And it's about a cab driver in a big city. I'm hearing like really chill, laid back saxophone music. Like, I really feel like, even if I'm watching it in the middle of the day, I feel like it's nighttime. It's so atmospheric.
Yeah.
And it is just so like, I don't know. It's got like, nightlife. And like the things that go on, the goings on of the night, it really does it really does take you there, but in a way that makes you feel like you're just kind of like walking by and just kind of watching everything peripherally. Like, it doesn't throw you in and make you feel the same things that the characters are feeling, like a Good Time or like an Uncut Gems, which we watched recently.
Oh, yeah.
But it does, like, especially like when it sets you up in the beginning and when you're, going out on that ED, it's just like, it's a lot, and it's a roller coaster, but you're also like, I'm in it right now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in it. I'm
in the cab. I'm paying for my fare.
I'm in the cab.
Take me Otakawa. Take me anywhere,
Take me, Under the Bridge. Isn't that another series?
Yeah, Otakawa Under the Bridge.
Yeah, I thought it was the same name.
Close.
But the sound, I mean, and the OP is by this guy named Pun P and Skirt. And
and they have a music video too that we watched, and it's just so fun. And I love. We were talking about this too, like when a music artist do anime OPs or EDs, and they immerse themselves into the anime. Like for My Dress Up Darling, like the singer of the song dressed up as
the character,
as Marin.
Yeah.
and she looks fantastic, and it just makes you, it's on another level of like like love. Like you could totally feel the love in this song. You could totally feel the vibe. Like it's called Odd Taxi. Like it is the whole feeling behind this series. Like it's insane.
And speaking of Odd Taxi, this is just an aside before I go into my next point, but that, you gotta love a show that gets the name of the show in the show.
Yeah, you're like,
you gotta love it.
Peter Griffin.
Yeah.
Oh, he said it. They said it.
Yeah.
They said it.
It just gets brownie. Any show just gets brownie points for doing it and doing it well.
Yeah, when it's like stupid. When it's like cheesy,
when it's like,
okay.
Hey, we're doing that thing. Look at us. Aren't we hilarious
Aren't
for
we
doing that thing?
so cool?
Because
it's like,
we know we are like meta about doing it. So it's funny, right? No.
And there was a meaning behind it. It wasn't just like, oh, this is this. It was like, oh, this is this because of this. Yeah. It wasn't just like, we're just going to say the name. There's like an actual meaning behind why a character says it. And that was cool too. Yeah. And it's just, we talk little about details are amazing.
Little details. We talk about this all the time. When we talk about anime, is that, I don't know what your experience personally as an anime watcher is, but me and Mehgan are kind of different when it comes to OPs. I tend to not really care, and I'll watch an OP because I want to hear the music, and I want to get a sense for the show. Mehgan, however, I think rightfully so, doesn't usually watch OPs if she's towards the beginning of a series because you feel like it can give things away.
Totally. Odd Taxi is definitely a nice change of pace because I like an OP that once you start to get into the series, it's not too much they're giving away at all in the OP, but once you start watching the series, you kind of can put the dots together and see what they're trying to say through the OP versus, okay, we're just going to show you everything about this, who the, villain is, what their origin story in the OP, like the hero's origin story in the OP. It's just too much, and it gives so much of those moments away for me that I want to live in what I'm actually watching versus just like being thrown at me for the OP.
But this, I mean,
it's
is
different.
Again, like a masterclass. Animation studios, get your notebooks out because this is like fantastic. It's and we've talked about it before, but now this will be my go-to example for what an OP should do, regardless of it being a mystery or not. What it does is you watch it upon first watching, stylistically, aesthetically, sonically, it's beautiful. However, it is ambiguous. The more you watch, the more you understand, and then you get to a point, and this is what separates it from every other OP that has done this and done it well before it. Then you think you figured it out. Then it even leads you down a path to confidently say and feel like you've figured it out. And then it still manages to surprise you. And then you go back and look again after you know everything that you know by the end. And it was all right there. It was all right there. And that's another thing I want to say about the mystery, the payoff, the characters, the revelations, everything is there.
Yeah.
It's not something, this is spoiler free, of course, but it is not something cheap. It is not something just thrown in at the end for shock or to throw you off even more. I kind of hate when mysteries do that. They make it somewhat obvious because obviously it wouldn't be the obvious person. You know what I mean? And it starts getting into its own head. Everything in here was there. There's breadcrumbs. I mean, from the OP to the first episode, all throughout. And they're not even like necessarily hidden either.
It's not hidden at all, and it isn't like a thing where a character will say something and another character will like have a whole inner monologue like, why did they say that? I wonder what they mean by that. It's literally just, oh, blah blah blah, oh, blah blah blah. That's it. That's all you get. Mystery. That's when like, okay, something's up. Mm-hmm. Versus like Odd Taxi, when it is a mystery, but no one knows what's going on either. To a certain extent, like everyone is kind of figuring out obviously what's going on versus like telling you, oh, you're gonna want to remember this.
Yeah, well, and you kind of said it perfectly right now. I do feel like so many times someone will say something and the camera will linger on a character, or there will be a slow zoom on an object or a character or a reaction to something.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, some film or some TV shows, some movies use it as a way to fool you, a red herring, a trick. Sometimes they don't think their audience is very smart and they want to kind of guide them to the right answer. But like you said it, the best. This is why I think this is the best, because it's there since the beginning. It's not even trying to hide it. They say things directly, but people's reactions to it are the reactions that they would have if it wasn't like, if they were just hearing it in a conversation. They hear it, they process it, they move on. There's no lingering shots. And actually, when talking about something like Erased, it actually, looking at this makes me think that Erased, the anime at least, I never read the manga, but the anime at least, first of all, in the OP, they give away who the person behind everything is in the OP of Erased. If you pause on a certain frame and the reflection of the main character's glasses, they give away who is behind all of these things. Okay, so OP, Erased, fail. Second fail is there's too many shots that linger on characters. There's too many reactions. It's like I'm being spoon-fed a mystery. It's not even fun playing anymore, which is a part of it too. I want to play. And even, watching it with somebody, we watched it together. It's like there's so many possibilities for theories and for, kind of like, your conspiracy theories and your like, could this person be behind it? If they are, what does that mean? What does this mean? We got our freaking, we went to Joann's and we got some red thread and we were just like, putting it all over the walls, like printing out oddtaxi characters, hanging them all over the walls.
Yeah.
But, Erased felt like it spoon fed you everything. And this, it feels like it's treating you like a freaking competent human being and is just letting you figure it out on your own, giving you all the tools, not showing you how to use them, and letting you figure it out. Yeah,
a good mystery gives you just enough information for you to want to ask questions, theorize, not giving it to you, leading you, the whole time to one person. Versus this, it could really be, multiple people. It could be none of them. It could be one person. It could be that person telling. There's just so many ways it could have gone, and it's giving you just enough information for you to be able to make those predictions, like I said, on your own. And it is fun. It is a fun series that keeps you guessing and keeps you on your toes and completely changes for it completely changes in the sense where you're like, wow, this is incredible. I thought this was incredible the whole time, but this is something else, something it transcends.
It does.
And even in Erased too, I felt watching Erased, looking back, that's kind of the best, I would say, mystery, type of show that I'd watch anime-wise that I was like, wow, maybe even Death Parade too, but...
Death Parade, way better than Erased.
Yeah.
Way better than Erased.
Yeah, but I had fun watching Erased. I really liked it. Again, that OP, I'd never, until I think after I'd finished it, I found out that you could see who it was in the reflection, so I'm glad I didn't get that spoiled for me. So if you haven't watched Erased yet, just don't watch the OP and just listen to it, I guess.
Yeah, with your eyes closed.
But yeah, that was kind of my top of okay, Death Parade's really good for that, Erased, and now this is completely banished. Erased is off the
list.
Yeah, and it's just...
And I've heard, by the way, before anybody comes at us in the comments, I've heard that the Erased manga is great and that the manga does everything way better than the anime, especially the mystery, the reveal of that mystery. There are things that are changed in the anime, the end specifically. And I've gone back and I've made myself aware of the ending of the manga and do think that the manga has a superior, ending. But as far as the anime is concerned, it blows things like Erased out of the water.
Yeah.
I do want to say too that, sometimes, we talk about writer directors, not all the time, but, in a case like this, it just feels like you have to. These are as far as my research goes. The writer Kazuya Konomoto and the director Baku Kinoshita. As far as I know, this is their first thing that they've worked on.
Yeah, like Konomoto, he and the art actually for the manga, because there's like 3 volumes of the manga out. I don't think they're translated, but it is just in Japanese.
Well, I think that the manga came out. The manga, and it is an anime original
so it came
series.
out,
and I think either it came out after or it came out around the same time, and they kind of planned like a simultaneous release. But it is an anime original series.
Okay, yeah, because Baku, he's like he's the director, but he's also like the main director of like the character design. It's so cute. He has like a Twitter page, and he pretty much posts like everyone who's working on the show as, you know, like animals, like their personas.
Love it.
Like so cute. I love that little detail. And you could just like, you said we don't really talk about directors too much, but you can just feel like the love in this show.
Yeah.
And the writing, the story, the writing, it's
yeah. The only thing that that worries me about it is, obviously whenever a writer director has their debut series is this critically acclaimed and this good, it's a lot of pressure, number one. But number two, with a series like Oddtaxi, and we'll talk more about it in the spoiler section, but with a series like Oddtaxi, it is so hard to do anything else with this story. And I'll leave it there because I don't even want to risk spoiling anything if you haven't seen this series yet.
Well, yeah, it's not like a death parade where, there's like a mystery going on, but it is just, different types of people each episode. You can always do something with that. Always have different stories, different characters. Thing like Erase, they kind of figured out the mystery, so where would they even get a season 2 from? Doesn't make any sense. So it is like this thing of like the mystery, if it's solved, then where do you go from there? But this in particular, how do you even do that?
Yeah,
even if it is.
And that being said, if this is, and the more we talk about it, something that you haven't seen and something you want to see, I want to talk about the dub being released recently too. But before that, in terms of like there being other Oddtaxi things on the horizon, there is a movie that's coming to theaters, I think in Japan in April 2022 this year, called In the Woods. Here again, not to give anything away, but it seems to be, and I don't hate it, but it seems to be the same sort of, it involves the same sort of mystery, but the movie just takes place from either a different perspective, singular, or multiple different perspectives, plural. But
and I've seen that done in, any Neon Evangelion watcher knows that most of the movies that were released kind of have the same thing, where if you watch I think maybe season 1 and season 2, I don't know where the movies start, or maybe they're in the middle, but there are movies that just, you've seen all of this already, but there are a couple things that are added, or even like a character that's added that wasn't involved that somehow happens to be involved later. And it is crazy. Like, I watched all of them just because I didn't want to miss anything, and like more content, like good. But I think it might be similar, where it is just like an OVA that like does the same thing, but like has added things.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. Any movie that takes place from a different perspective that covers the same series of events is what I call a Lion King 1 1/2.
But that was a really good movie.
It was a good movie. So this is Oddtaxi,
that was like its own movie.
1 1/2. It was its own. This is going to be its own movie.
Yeah, but it might have a lot of the same scenes we've already seen. That's
so did
towards
Lion
the
King,
end.
Timon and Pumbaa 1 1/2.
Towards the end, though, it was more its own movie.
And I'm not talking. The last thing I want to do is come on here
and argue about Lion King 1 1/2
because it is a fantastic film.
I really liked it. They really knocked it out of the park.
I liked it too.
Oh, the hyenas come.
Yeah, it's been done before, I'm sure. But, it was one of the first times I had ever seen that done as a kid.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is crazy. The fact that it just, the fact that characters are doing things off screen when you're not seeing them. I don't know. As a kid, I was like, this is amazing.
They really knocked it out with this one.
But let's go back to the dub really quick.
Yes.
So yeah, the as of this recording, there are 4 episodes currently out of the 13 episodes total. 4 of them are out dubbed, and we started with those just to kind of get a sense for. You know what? When certain series, this is a series that I think really lends itself to a dub. There's one character that's going to be impossible for not impossible, but it's going to be very hard for them to translate from Japanese to English. And we'll get to the characters later on in the spoiler section. We're going to get to, more of the events that go on with each individual character and talk about the ones that we connected with the most. But there is a character that just basically freestyles everything he says. And I have to tune back into the dub to see how they execute that. But, I don't mind dubs. I think that if a dub is done well, then great. Sometimes it can really make watching it easier, especially, I've joked about it before, but especially if I'm trying to eat. I can't read and eat at the same time. I'm not a good multitasker.
Yeah, I was like kind of shocked how much I liked the dub.
Yeah, it was really good.
And I'm the type of person where if I'm watching the dub, I'm watching the full dub. I'm not going to flip-flop in the middle of the season. I'm not going to, there's only 3 episodes out of the dub. Okay, I'll watch the full 3 episodes and then get into the sub. We did that, but I usually don't like doing that because I want to feel the character.
No, we watched 2 and then you didn't want to watch the 3rd or 4th.
Okay, then I made my point.
You did.
And I really do not like doing that.
Because you said that. You said, I'm not going to connect to these characters.
Yeah, it's true.
If I have to switch.
What am I? Okay, I hear this person. Oh, but he's also this person. My brain doesn't work that way. So I have to watch it a certain way to understand the character, really, connect with them. But it was really good. I really like Otakawa's voice a lot. And he is actually, did you ever watch like the Dragon Ball dub?
Yeah.
Not really?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I saw a lot of the movies.
Muten Roshi?
Yeah, I watched a lot of it when I was a kid.
That's the same guy. Same voice actor.
Who did Master Roshi?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Otakawa.
That's kind of crazy.
Well, you don't like it?
No, I mean, it's just crazy. I really like the dub performance. I think it was really good. And, actually, it might be that whatever you start on is always going to be kind of what you prefer, that there's a science experiment in there somewhere. But Otakawa's voice in the dub does seem more fitting for his age. When we first switched from the dub to the sub, and this is rare. The Japanese VA sounded a lot younger and almost didn't have that same sort of grit or raspiness to his voice that the dub actor did. And it kind of, at least for the first couple episodes that we watched once we switched, it kind of made me really appreciate the dub VA and the dub performance.
And it's 2 different performances. Like looking at the character, like I can totally see how it could be interpreted 2 ways. You can focus on the, how old the character is, but once you get to know like this character's background, why they might sound the way they do in the sub version versus the dub version, like they're completely I can appreciate 2 well done different types of their choices. Interpretation, their choices for those characters. So it is really interesting. And I really did like the sub too. No knocking on the sub. All of those actors are amazing. And again, like the rhythmic and the dialogue,
fantastic.
But I can't wait. I mean, honestly, I might just keep watching the dub again when it comes out, just because it is so much fun to watch, and it is just like a new, fresh take on this season. I mean, this series that I already love so much, and there are characters that I'm very curious to see how they get it done. But yeah, amazing performances, awesome characters.
Yeah. So, there's not much else to say about this amazing series without getting into spoiler territory. So if this is a series that you still have not seen, again, we cannot sell you on it enough. We cannot tell you enough to go watch this series. 13 episodes is not a lot. They fly by. I understand why you might even feel like initially, based on maybe your first viewing of the first episode or 2, why it might not seem like something for you. But I really do think that there is something in this series for everyone if you start watching it and once you get into it. There's so many different characters, so many different stories. You're bound to connect with one of them. The mystery is some of the most well pulled off, well done mystery with a super gratifying reveal. I cannot say it enough for the sake of being repetitive and turning off people by over hyping something up. I'll just say that this is going to be the end of our spoiler-free discussion. But if you haven't seen it, please watch it, come back, participate in our spoiler discussion.
Yeah, do not, for the love of God, watch the second part if you haven't watched it. Because I was so surprised that I did not get anything spoiled for me for this series. Like, insane. And it made me love the community, which sometimes I freaking hate because I always get things spoiled for me. If you know, I'm the freaking spoiler queen, whether I like it or not. Okay, I try to avoid it, but it just comes to me. I can't do anything about it. And I was just
you can do something about it.
No,
because I don't get things spoiled.
Okay, I have to run Volume 1 social media. I got to be on top of all the news, all the latest stuff. So
okay, you got me.
Yeah, I did get you. There are people that do post bad things, and I'm like, why would you do this? Why? Whatever. But I was just shocked.
Yeah, I agree with Mehgan. I don't care if you think you don't care. Do not get this spoiled. Do not spoil this series for yourself. Even if right now you're like, I don't even like myself. Don't do this to yourself.
No.
Don't do this to you.
It'll be your biggest regret, I think. Yeah. It would have been my biggest regret.
Because you are going to be robbing yourself of an experience. An experience. And these are so rare. We talk about anime and manga every week. And something like this is extremely rare and doesn't come along all the time. So don't ruin this for you or for yourself, because you don't know when something like this is going to come around again.
Yeah, no, looking for something like this again is going to be very taxing.
Oh, okay. I liked it. Is that the one
Thank
that you
No, I have another one. No, I have another one. I just thought of that one right now. But yes,
you've been warned. Our spoiler discussion will begin in 3, 2, 1. All right.
Woo! I mean,
yeah, this. This reveal. We gotta kind of.
We gotta open with the reveal.
I'm so scared even because I feel like some of them are still here.
No, they're definitely gonna still be here. Let's talk about one character in particular that I think is one of the best characters that I've seen, villain type characters that I've seen in a long time. It's Tanaka Hajime.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about him.
Can we talk about him? I needed to talk about this character because this came out of left field, just like some of the other things that come out in this season. But this character was this is, and another thing that's so crazy about this character is he's the most we know about.
In a way, we get a lot of his backstory.
We get
You know what? That's
life.
a pretty astute observation.
Thank you. And it's purposeful. But it is crazy. We don't even know that much about the main character until the very last episode. But we get this whole guy's life story and a full episode. And he's the only one we really know about. Everyone else is exposition and talking. We get to see his whole life unfold. And it is the most insane, what he's driven to. Because of what is it's insanity. You could feel just being uncomfortable, and the reveal at the end honestly makes me want you see it again through those eyes. For sure. Everything that happens.
And once you know the reveal, yes, you do see him completely differently, and you see the events and the actions that he took, happening. Or see them through a different lens, and it is even more terrifying, and I would say.
That I want to talk about the art too, the animation too, because it is the thing about oddtaxi is obviously people are put off from BStars because it is furries. But
it is.
It is furries. They have boobs and stuff. But I highly recommend BStars and BStars season 2 because it isn't about just that. It isn't just about these furry characters they're doing shit, and it's and there's a mystery much like this, and it is good. So people are put off by like the cutesy nature. Even the first episode kind of like plays it up like it's going to be this cute little series about, the slice of life, type of thing. And then it gets further and further into like this deep and dark like show of these characters and crime and murder and money and even like sex. Like it is so crazy. But this character in particular, like we just said, like looking back once everything is revealed, it is less cute. Everything in the show is less cute because they are done by what gets revealed.
Yeah, well, I also think too, like, I mean, I almost, regret not talking about this in the spoiler-free section, but yeah, the animation is beautiful. The textures are beautiful. The character designs are also masking the true darkness that I think surrounds a lot of these characters. But to go back to that character really quick too, he's obviously the character whose backstory was that he was a gacha game fanatic, and not even his whole life. I mean, he actually, what I loved is he actually even started his, backstory episode by saying that he hated gacha games and he hated cell phone games because what games are supposed to be are things that you can do when you don't have any friends. And he's like, the nature of these games means that you need to have money and you need to have friends. He goes, that defeats the purpose of playing a game, of escaping, because I need to have real life things to do this in-game thing. I thought that was so interesting. And again, even though he ends up being the villain, the points that they're making in Arakawa as a character and the things that he says to people and that he is so blunt and direct, and that when he tells people and he calls it like he sees it, he says what he wants to say no matter what. I mean, he says to somebody who's talking to him about like cassette tapes, they say like, what's a cassette tape? And he's like, don't act like you don't know what a cassette tape is. And then, the doctor says, well, come on. I mean, she's so much younger. And he's like, yeah, but we know about 8-tracks. We know about records. We know about, all these things that came before telegraphs. Like we know about all these things that came before our time. So can we stop pretending like these freaking kids don't know anything about anything? Like they don't know what a freaking VHS is, what a fucking cassette tape is. And I'm like, damn, Arakawa, like, because he's like, he's got no time for this freaking like nonsense. Like it's all nonsense. And like that's what it really reminds you is that like we're all like everybody's walking around like I don't know, like if these things are just like pleasantries that people exchange to move conversations forward. But Arakawa cuts through all that and he's like, can we just stop pretending like I'm an old guy and you're a young person and that we're all like, let's have a conversation as people. Like let's stop playing dumb. And man, it is so refreshing to see a character like that.
Definitely.
And so with this character too, it's so refreshing to see him because he is someone who has spiraled and as someone who has, again, back to his school days, and to see him, talk about, that the fact that even as he told his story, this is where the writing, gets gold stars, because it's this character is talking you through his backstory and then slowly admitting to things being lies, being hyperbolic. He's saying like, yeah, back in my day, everybody loved collecting erasers. He's like, well, actually not everybody, if I'm being realistic about it, it was like 5 kids. And he's like, actually it wasn't even 5 kids. It was really just a small group of kids, but only one of them did. And, just like, because again, just the way that we romanticize our past and our school life and our school times. I mean, it's just like, yeah, like he gives you something to connect with immediately. Like I saw, at least before he, made this drastic change, I saw a lot of myself in aspects of him before he made this drastic change. But yeah, to see him and his trauma and everything that he went through to get to the point where he was at, and then what finally made him snap. And again, to the point of social commentary, I mean, it is about like these companies taking advantage of these people through these type of games, these types of games.
It is like a different form of gambling. I mean, you are just buying like points to get characters. Like the gacha games are very popular. People spend freaking thousands of dollars every year. I mean, not every year, millions of dollars, but it is just feeding into this thing that's giving you, a temporary, what's the word?
Satisfaction?
Serotonin. And then you're like, oh, that was cool. And it's very fleeting and addictive. And that's what they feed off of too. And if people that have no self-esteem or, are in a bad place, unfortunately, they're just like captive by this thing. And that is like, they think that that's their only worth. And this character completely just hones all of that, that commentary.
I mean, he really embodies just like disparity. He embodies like, gambling, having like sort of a crippling gambling addiction, or just this like addiction to these things, and just a loss of self due to having this like mundane sort of day by day, sunrise, sunset, repetitive Groundhog's Day life. And it's just like, that's where the commentary on society and everything has driven this person to madness. And so to get all of that backstory, the way it was told, the way that we do end up knowing the most about him, and to see that change happen. I mean, he was one of the most compelling, I think, antagonists I've seen in a very long time, which was hilarious because if you watch the Crunchyroll 2021, I think, Anime Awards, which we did a Patreon exclusive episode on, he, and I understand, I guess, why, but he is not featured as a nominee for one of the year's best antagonists. It is another character from this series, but I guess, to keep things sort of a mystery and to not reveal everything, even though I guess it is sort of a reveal. I'm glad it wasn't spoiled for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, a highlight for me.
Definitely.
But I wouldn't say not even my favorite character.
Yeah, it's hard to pick who my favorite would be, to be honest.
Is there another story that you really connected with? Because for me, obviously, I connected with the warthog and the horse, the comedy duo.
Yeah, I really did love their story. Yeah, I mean, like, I would say it's either between him, Dodo, or them. I mean, and obviously Otokawa, but those are the ones that stick out to me the most, I think.
Yeah, I mean, let's exclude Otokawa because he's obviously
just
the best.
Yeah, he's the best.
We have the monkey, character who was conned sort of by this, what they call a badger game. And very sad, very, real, I guess. I mean, I feel like there are people that fall victim to that daily. You'd like to think that people are smarter than that. But, sometimes I think these people always think that they're the one person that's not getting conned.
Yeah, totally.
Which ends up being the reason that they get conned. You got him, you got the alpaca, the alpaca character for me was, she was okay. I mean, there was a point in this series where I was just like, I do not like you, and I do not want you anywhere near Otokawa. And I don't care that you're apologizing, and I don't care that you're going to admit that you've been stealing medication from the doctor.
No, alpaca more like a pack of lies.
That was the one you were holding on to.
Yeah.
That was the one you were holding on to?
Yeah.
I liked it.
I was over her. I was done. And it was just this like, okay, I guess at the end she gets redeemed. But even then, I was like, you kind of suck.
Yeah, I mean, I
was not interested.
Completely came around to her, even at the very end when she, effectively saves Otokawa from death. I mean, that was
also a cop out. Like, that was my one issue, I think.
Was just her saving him?
Yeah.
Why?
Because, like, why her?
I mean, I guess, they, I like her as a character. I understand why she needed to be there. And I think that, she did serve an important role in the story, but I just never really fully came around to her again. I understand she had crippling debt that she was trying to pay off and had to do what she had to do to, I don't know, make payments on it. I don't know, but she had Stockholm syndrome. She had a lot of issues. And I just feel like, not that Otokawa obviously doesn't have issues.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. She just didn't seem like she was going to do him any good. And their relationship, I like how he was, he pretty much stuck to his guns the whole time. Mm-hmm. And I understand why once they had the reveal that he was a little more bashful around her. But I liked when he was being direct with her.
Yeah,
I mean, like, stop. Leave me alone. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was very annoying. But that was probably the least one that I cared about. And I did obviously like the whole storyline with the lottery. That character was really fun, was cool. Super cute. Again, that is another thing. Commentating on idols in Japan are a huge industry, and people spend so much money, going to these events, getting Polaroid pictures, spending money on raffle tickets to even get a chance to take a Polaroid picture, paying for handshakes, paying for pretty much anything they could pay for to get closer to these idols. And it is also another addiction, like straight up, like completely just flowing in money to these idol groups, and they're having a hard time getting up in the ranks because there are so many of them. I just was thinking about that. It's kind of tough, when you talk about gambling, because it's like it's your money, you could do whatever you want with it. I think the problem comes when you take advantage of people, and when you take advantage of people's like situation, and you kind of prey on their vulnerability or their willingness or eagerness to support you or whatever. Because at the end of the day, I mean, like if you want to pay $1,000 to get your freaking hand shaked by an idol, then I mean, like, go ahead. I mean, well, it is ahead. Like, like the monkey, getting conned into this like 18-year-old girl talking to this 41-year-old guy, and she's super cute and he doesn't understand why she's even talking to him. And this happens every day, all the time. Oh, money is involved and money is needed. And I'll send you this money. I'll send you this money a month. I'll send you this money a month.
But just some guys are fully aware of that.
And they're fully okay with it.
Love it.
And that's okay.
And I don't understand it, but I don't have to understand it. It's not for me to understand. If you got the money and that's what you want to do, then do that. Yeah, that's what you want to do, then do that. It is just crazy to see these people in this season this series of Odd Taxi just being like, wow, this is too real. Yeah, you got the gorilla character, who I think was a great character too. One of my other favorite characters, not my standout character, but someone who is a really good friend and someone who is really making moves behind the scenes. Good guy at heart, little subtle things. When he finds out the alpaca's stealing medicine, doesn't rat her out, doesn't even try to really stop Arakawa, because he knows that once he's, I guess, set his mind to something, that he's going to do it. So he kind of takes it upon himself to figure out how he can help, and helps him out, and does these like subtle tests, which I don't know, if you guys noticed this or saw this or picked up on it when it was happening, but I had no idea what that test was about when he was giving it to Otakawa. I was like, what is the point of it? What are you possibly getting out of this test? And then, of course, when the reveal happens, you're like, well, yeah. Wow. Yeah. Crazy. Yeah. And also another storyline, I mean, not my favorite character. He was like a very interesting character, but was the Hippo, the social media Hippo. Yeah, the Hippo was a great character. He was so funny. He was so funny. Unfortunately, the Hippo character for me, is a great character because he is just a caricature of, I feel like, real people. Of people who are trying to take either controversies or, traumatic events, drama, cash in on these things, and really have no emotional connection to anything that's happening. I mean, we see it all the time. I mean, we just saw it with, that girl who, her and her boyfriend had like a YouTube channel, and she went missing, and then he went missing. The laundry case, I think, is what one of their names was. You just saw all these people on social media, TikTok, everywhere, YouTube, like pretending to be psychics and pretending to like get some sort of sense of where this person was at. I mean, they're really cashing in on tragedy. They're really, and again, they have no emotional stakes or connection to these people, to the events, and they're so insensitive to these people's loved ones and the people that are actually dealing with this thing. At the end of the day, they're going to move on to another tragedy to get behind, another cause. And that's the thing about, a lot of like, whether you're pandering or, virtue signaling, unfortunately, that's why it's so hard to take anything that anybody says in today's world. I mean, seriously, because it's like, do you actually give a fuck about this cause that you're constantly promoting on your page, or are you doing it because you know that's the right thing to do? And then there's the other question of like, you know, I mean, like, is doing it regardless of your intent, like, better than not doing anything at all? I mean, you know, it's such a complex gray area, but you know, especially, you know, over the past 2 years, there were so many times where I just got frustrated, you know, as like I said, you know, we'll talk about the comedians and their duo, but just being in this like circle and this like this environment of people who were trying to be personalities or trying to be entertainers, it just felt like they were calculating every kind of post about every kind of thing, and like just being very calculated about what, you know, protest they were at, or what, you know, whatever. I mean, you know, and with the pandemic and just like, you know, the way that vaccines and everything were politicized. I mean, you know, and people, you know, posting their vaccination cards, which if you did, like, I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Like if you posted it, I'm just saying, like, you know, you don't have to, or like people donating and sharing screenshots of their donations. It's like, maybe some people are doing it because they want to just be a part of something. And maybe some people are doing it because they want everybody else to see them do the right thing.
Yeah.
Maybe some people are doing it genuinely and they don't care about any of those things. I mean, you got to find your reason, but you know, I hope you're just doing, like, you could just do it. You could just do things. I think that's the moral. You could just fucking do something.
You just see it on TikTok all the time. People helping, like, you know, homeless people out, or helping, you know, their family out, and it always has to be recorded. It always has to be put on social media. Like everything that we're talking about is said in literally the first episode of when you meet this Hippo character. Oh, wholesome things on the internet tend to do better and go viral. So I'm going to make up a story about us together, and that'll probably go viral because people like that. And even Arakawa has a commentary too on like why. And is it just like you're self-gratifying, and you know, do you really care about this or not? You're giving this lie. And it is just so like crazy to hear this in an anime setting, because usually we don't. Because it is, you know, I guess not the time and place, but it is just so real. And that's why at times it didn't feel like an anime. It was just a weird mix of like, wow, real life commentary coming from these animals' mouths of this anime that I'm watching. And it was just a cool way to like, you know, really think about these things and take them in consideration in your like own life.
Yeah, and you know, and to that point too, you know, just Arakawa cutting through, like he cut through the alpaca conversation about cassette tapes, cutting through too, and this guy showing him another post about, you know, some other person that he follows that went viral. And Arakawa was saying, like, if you really break down what this person is saying in their social media post, which the post was something along the lines of them overhearing a certain conversation while they were writing their manuscript at some sort of restaurant or diner or something. He's like, if you really break it down, like, you know, the information of the manuscript didn't need to be there. So they're bragging about writing a manuscript. They're signaling to you that they're doing this cool thing.
Yeah.
They're recounting the dialogue to show you their worth as a writer. I mean, you know, everything is so calculated, so disingenuous. And I mean, it really was refreshing to see such an honest take, and to see a character who was a no-nonsense character who's going to cut right through it all. It just makes me so angry, dude. I get so angry at all that stuff, dude, especially because it's like, you know, it's like all these people, you know, I think so many people want to be something, right? And I think like everybody, they kind of put on the version of themselves that they think that everybody would want to see, but I mean, I think people just connect with like people being genuine. And that's a hard lesson to learn, you know, because we are embarrassed and ashamed of like our shortcomings, but sometimes it's our shortcomings that like show people our humanity, you know? And it is just like, it's a hard pill to swallow, but
I mean, that's like one of the main, that's one of the main, you know, themes of this show is humanity. And it is interesting that we're talking about humanity through the eyes of animals, from what you see. And it is very, very complex. It's such a complex show. And even us talking about it, I mean, I'm sure if you're here, you've already seen it. You understand what we're feeling. But it's so hard to tell someone what the show is about without spoiling everything and having, you know, forcing them, tying them up in a chair and making them watch this to understand
Yeah.
what we're talking about.
I wonder, there's a couple more characters. I mean, the polar bear character who was just like kind of, there. The other villain character who was a freestyle
There.
rapper who was really,
Oh, hilarious.
he was hilarious. He was great.
Such a fun character.
And so, yeah, he was such a fun character. I mean, but he didn't really he didn't really have, I don't think, as important of a message necessarily behind.
No, but it was just fun.
He was awesome. And that's who I'm curious to see how they handle in the dub.
Mm-hmm.
But, obviously, I think that the two other people, or I guess maybe three other people that I think are important to talk about are the comedy duo and the idol, girl or girls.
Idols, the idol girls. And obviously the dog, Fox, their manager.
Yeah, their manager. I mean, he's not that complex of a character. I mean, he's just a guy who
is going to try to achieve his goals through
he
these
wanted
idols.
to do everything that he could to make this idol group successful, even if it meant
just
resorting
one.
to like criminal. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, this comedic duo, man, I mean, they really, and the reason I'm saving the idol for last is because that leads us into the reveal. But, this comedic duo, I mean, to have a commentary on entertainment and comedy through entertainment and comedy is so hard to do. And again, this is happening mostly on the radio in the background at first, which again is what's so brilliant about making this main character a cab driver.
Yeah.
But, you're hearing these two people, and essentially what it boils down to is a duo, one of which is, I think, a more genuine person. Not that his partner isn't genuine, but I think his partner has a different idea of what comedy and what entertaining is to him, has also sacrificed an equal amount, but is really not having a lot of success, working as a waiter at a nightclub or whatever. And just there, when you finally do see them on screen for the first time and you see their bond and their relationship and their friendship, and how at first it's the horse character who is like, I am not good at this. I don't want to do this. I am the straight man. You're the funny one. I also just really don't care that much about fame and success. So I think I'm just going to not do this. And his friend at the time, seeming like a good friend, telling him to continue, but only later realizing that, he needs this person and that he can't really do this without this person.
Yeah.
You just see their dynamic shift and how the horse character starts to become successful and what that does, the strain that puts on their relationship. But more importantly, the climax of their argument being that this guy, it is just like, what I liked about it so much is like, he's talking about basically the nature of comedy. And I think, Bo Burnham's Inside said a lot of this stuff too, right? Like a lot of his songs in that special were just like, there's so many things. The message was there's so many things happening in this world, so many really scary things, so many real things. Is now the time to really be making fart jokes, essentially. And I think what it really is more than that is just that it is the self-entitlement that I think comes along with comedy. It's not necessarily like, yes, there is also the argument that people need to laugh the most during tragedy, but it's like, who are the people that are choosing to be comedians, and what are they actually being fueled by? Narcissism. And I think, a lot of self-entitlement during a time when it's like, these are two things we need to be the least of right now. And one guy, his argument is just basically like, yeah, I think that this sucks and that, people just care about this and people just care about that. And he's very set in his ways. And the horse's conversation or mentality is like, look, man, like you gotta change with the times. Like maybe these things aren't funny, but that doesn't mean that comedy is dead. Cause you always have that person who's like, well, I remember back in the day when we used to just call people like this slur or that slur and nobody got their feelings hurt. It's like, there's so many people who were set in their ways and they refuse to change. And there are huge successful comedians. I swear to God, if I hear Joe Rogan freaking apologize again, I'm gonna lose my mind, dude. Look, that guy, I mean, he's old. He's an old head. He's an old head that just, is peddling, workout supplements, vitamins, DMT, whatever. He's not that smart. And he tells you he's not that smart. And maybe that's why people like him. But it's like, it's not that comedy is dead. It's that all these people just have no desire to be more creative or think about anything from a different angle. Everybody, and this is what the horse character says at the end, which I completely relate to. He's like, we get it. You're cool. Like, you like to hate everything. Like, you don't like anything. Nothing's funny to you. Nothing's this to you. Nothing's that to you. It's like, there is sort of this like air of comedy where like people act like they're the funniest thing that ever walked the earth, that they understand everything. And that if you don't laugh, you don't get it. And it's just like, that's not what comedy should be. Comedy should be really, again, not to sound cheesy or corny, but bringing people together. But it is inherently such an ego-driven thing that this conversation that they were having was really awesome to me, because it really represented both sides of the conversation well. And you could tell that even though it was one writer writing two characters who had opposing viewpoints, that each viewpoint was equally represented and had both great, really good points. But it is like, yeah, like I'm tired of people acting like, like they just don't like what's cool. Like, I'm tired of people saying like Demon Slayer is mid because it's the most popular anime of all time. I'm tired of, people saying that like people are soft and that people can't take a joke. It's just like, maybe you're not funny, dude. Like, think of something funnier to say. Like, I'm just so tired of like all these people walking around like they're the hottest shit that's ever touched the earth.
It's just negativity. It's just pure negativity. And like, it is, that totally comes into, social media, and it gives everyone a platform to say whatever they want to say. And that's why Odd Taxi is so brilliant, because it does show perspectives, two different perspectives, three different perspectives from social media, and what it can do to people and what it can lead people to, and what even you post could lead people to you. Like, it's so scary, the amount of information that the internet has on you. Like, I could probably, it's just crazy. It's just insane. But it is just so like cool to be negative on the internet, because you have no repercussions and you do have people that agree with you. And that's with everything too. And you're entitled to opinion, sure, but negativity is definitely a thing that can wear on you and wear on other people.
Yeah, and the tricky thing too is in a way like being negative or being controversial, like the system rewards that, and so it's just going to be more of that because we reward that, because there is something about people that like controversy. I'm one of those people. But yeah, it is just like, I mean, hearing both sides equally represented, regardless of how you feel about it, it's like, I guess a better way to say it is like, it's not that we're making jokes. It's like, where are these jokes coming from? What are we joking about? And like, what are we really trying to say? It's about elevating an art form, not just, resting on your laurels of the past and recycling the same shit over and over and over. That's how things change. That's how things evolve. That's how music changes and evolves. If people had the same conversation that they have about fucking comedy that they have about music, then we'd still be listening to fucking, Frank Sinatra today. Not that, Sinatra is bad. I mean, he's fine. I mean, he's
bad and fine.
Okay.
I snapped and I winked if you guys are just listening, because he's like, he's like bad, like he's like bad boy, like he was in the mafia, and then also like he's like fine because he's like handsome.
Sinatra,
Sinatra can get it.
He's got a good voice. I mean, but I do agree. There is another comedian who has already made this point, but the talk singing point thing, about how he just talk sings.
Yeah, but he has a great talk singing voice.
Yeah, I mean, you can like Sinatra if you want, and I don't hate him. I really don't hate him. I really don't even think he's a bad singer. I just like, I there's a couple songs I get it, but he's not at the top of my list. Don't look at me like that. But I'm just saying, it's like, if we treated it the same way that we treat music, then we'd be listening to the same, shit we listened to in the 20s, dude. Like, and that's the same argument that people made when hip hop first started coming out, and people were like, this isn't music. I remember back in the day when you used to just play a guitar. We used to play actual instruments back in my day. But the thing is, they don't take the time to bother understanding the technical aspects of what goes into breaking down these songs, these beats, these things. Like, I mean, it's just a bunch of people talking out of their ass, dude. And I'm tired of it. Okay. And tell me if I'm the warthog or the horse.
Yeah, oddtaxi triggers something in Josh. He's on one.
On multiple levels.
Anyway,
I'll let you kind of lead the idol conversation, but it's the last, I think, really main thing to talk about, important thing to talk about is the idols. And, fame, I think it's commentating on fame, jealousy,
motivations, like I said, idol groups are huge in Japan, obviously. We kind of have a similar thing with like boy bands and girl groups here in the West. But it's definitely more...
we're slacking.
Yeah, we're slacking. And it's definitely more individual driven. Like the whole time we see these 3 idols and we're kind of spoon fed like information about them. And there's like, there's always a main idol, and then there's like, either 3 or how many, whatever, in the background as dancers. They sing too, but it's just different. These 3 girls, 2 of them are wearing masks, 1 isn't, and you could clearly see like, oh, because she's the main one, obviously. They even say like they want her to shine the most from the other girls, so because she's
I
better.
think anybody's here is already, they already know.
Yeah. So then,
I'm just saying that the reveal of like the one girl like doing it, like that is, this is what I'm talking about.
That was a cool scene.
It made me forget that there was a murder. It made me forget that I was supposed to figure out who killed this original cat girl that they replaced the other cat girl with.
Yeah.
I have never been so like dumbfounded, and it seems like it's a shared experience, across, the board.
Mm-hmm.
In that, once you get the big reveal, maybe we should get a drum roll. I'll give a drum roll to you, and then you give the big reveal.
Why don't you? I'll do the drum roll. You do the reveal.
The big reveal. The big reveal is that everybody's human this whole time. Everybody's been human this whole time.
Wild.
That is already a punch and a slap and a spit in the face.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say in a good way, not a bad way.
Spit in the face doesn't seem kind of like it would be bad, but some people like getting spit on. But yeah, dude, it was so crazy, and it just, like you said, added another layer, and it's something you could go back to and look at every event all over again through fresh eyes and see humans doing these things. And humans are freaking animals, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Humans are freaking animals.
Totally.
But yeah, the reveal that this girl, who we didn't even expect, and we saw the breadcrumbs, dude. We saw her putting phones in seats. And we saw her, her being kind of weird. We saw even the main fan who won the lottery say like, oh, this girl's dancing kind of got sloppy. How that tied into the comedian, how that tied into the eraser, how that tied into like, even, the criminal and what was it? 11? Ditch 11?
Ditch 11.
Ditch 11.
Ditch 11.
Oh man. I can't. I can't with this show.
Yeah, that reveal and Otakawa's backstory was so sad. And when they started showing humans, I was like, oh, we're doing this. I was like, oh my God, no way. Because we know it's getting closer and closer to the last episode. We're getting information about like the accident that happened and all of the things that he doesn't remember or like has trouble, thinking about, or even his doctor, the one that he had previously was talking to him, the current doctor, and you're reading the notebook that he has, and then he just starts mentioning like animals, and I'm like, why would he be mentioning animals if he is one? And little things like there's like a cat crossing the road, but why would there be like a house pet cat?
That Mehgan,
and then
was like kind of upset about the whole time too. You were like, why are there actual animals and animals? And my response at the time was like, don't worry about it.
I hated it.
It's just a style thing.
No, I was like, there's no way. And I was like, okay, they're only mammals, but no, there's like alligators and like turtles. So I was like, okay, that can't be the case. And then there's like birds too. And I was just so confused, and I didn't understand why they were doing this. And it is because obviously there's animals which are the people, and then there's like animals, because he does distinct them both differently. He sees a bird as a bird. He sees, Mr. Toto as a swan or something, because he assigns like everyone a specific animal. But that whole backstory was like amazing and so sad.
Tragic.
And you just felt so bad for this little kid. I mean, it was just like, damn.
Yeah, and then the fact that like even the idol's motivations, this is not cheap. This is not like some red herring, and they're making it the person you least expect just because it's the person you least expect. Like, her motivations made sense, dude.
Yeah.
She's someone who was going to do anything she could to get what she wanted, because they had made it very clear, they had planted those seeds, those breadcrumbs, that her mother, was someone who also had a dream that she wasn't able to achieve that dream. So she, I don't know if she was vicariously living through her daughter. I don't know if she was pressuring her daughter or not, but her daughter, for whatever reason, had decided to take it upon herself to make her dreams happen no matter what.
Yeah.
It's the only whodunit mystery that has ever done that has ever had a reveal bigger than the actual killer that makes you forget about the killing. I mean, I've seen a lot of mysteries, and I've never seen one reveal outdo the reveal that you thought you cared the most about.
Yeah.
The pen, I mean, everything, made so much sense. And this is why I say that I don't have any idea that cliffhanger that the first season ends on. Like, this is with her getting in the car. And by the way, when they turn into humans, you're like, they better show every single
I love that too.
They better show every single human.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I mean, that's what I say when she gets in the car at the end. It's a huge cliffhanger, and I don't know if there's going to be an Odd Taxi season 2. There's a movie that's going to take place, around the same story, but from a different perspective. I don't know that they can do a season 2, because they're going to have to open up on the fact that they are humans. How are they going to be able to go back to them being animals and have that make sense? It's not going to work. And if they come out with a second season, then it's going to spoil the magic of the first season. So I kind of think this is something that, unfortunately, as good as it was, needs to just be this. I think so.
Yeah, I would also agree.
But I really do want to talk a little bit about the last theory that I have is, Otakawa's closet, and what a dark backstory too. And what the reveal, and just like even throughout the series, where you're like, oh my God, you see a hand, on the street in debris. You're like, this is R-rated.
Oh yeah. We should have mentioned the cops too.
Oh yeah. The cops, they're fine. The cops are cool. Crooked cop number 1 and his, brother number 2. It was really sad though, the end, when he was like crying and saying that he was still going to arrest his brother. I mean, I joke about, this series has so many amazing characters. Like, I joke about them like being the whatever cops, but they actually had a really emotional payoff to their story as well. Mm-hmm. But Otakawa's closet, you know what? I mean, it was just a cat that was in that closet, but I really do think that this show is, maybe the cat was just a cat, but maybe the cat was something else. Maybe the cat represented something else. Because you made a very interesting observation, and I'm not saying that it's an exclusively Mehgan observation, but you're the first and only person I've really heard it from. If Otakawa was seeing animals as animals. Yeah. So he could have saw the cat as a cat. But the way he was talking to that cat, and it could have been done so that you, the viewer, were a little more invested in the mystery. Yeah. But I don't know, man. Cat, I feel like that cat has to represent something.
But he does say, if it was a cat the whole time, he wouldn't have been relieved that it was a cat.
That's what I'm saying. He was relieved that it was a cat. Mm-hmm. He was relieved that it was a cat. Mm-hmm. I don't know. So, I think that the cat, because at first the theory...
Because it was something else. Because he goes, oh, thank God it's just a cat. He would have been like, oh, there's a cat that I've been taking care of.
Well, maybe he's saying oh, thank God it's just a cat, because...
he doesn't know it's real.
Yeah, he's just like,
obviously.
I thought it was. I'm pretty sure it was. But I also thought my best friend was a gorilla or monkey. So, thank God.
Yeah, yeah.
But, because And I think maybe that closet thing is just a red herring and it actually doesn't really mean anything, because at first there was this theory of like, oh, it could be a representation of his guilt because maybe he's aware of what happened to this idol that he also sees as a black cat. But then there was also that thread that's like, there's a black cat in the OP. There's a black cat in his closet. The missing girl is a black cat. But you know, he didn't know what happened to her. All he saw was that there were different people, but he didn't know what happened to one or the other, and he had to put that all together.
Yeah.
So it can't be a representation of his guilt. And you know what? Maybe it is just a cat. But that's what's so great about a show like this and an ending that's sort of, you know, ambiguous, especially the very end, because it lends itself to have so many interesting conversations. And I'd love to know if you're still here, if you have any, you know, thoughts on what that maybe represents or what the end of the series ends up being. If you think there's going to be another season, how did you interpret the ending? What do you think is going to happen? Is the cat just a cat? Is there something else to that cat? Any and all thoughts? I mean, I'm going deep on this. Like, I want to know everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super interesting. And it is just like a testament to how good the series is when you could still theorize what happened in the season or what's going to happen in the next season based off of what you have. And I do agree that I don't know if they could do a second season. They might just have to revert to them being animals. I don't know.
But that would feel kind of cheap, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, what else are they going to do? Who knows? Who knows?
Leave a brilliant show at brilliant. Leave it where it's at.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to do it for our discussion on Odd Taxi, a phenomenal series. We've already gushed about it enough. So let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you for being here and checking out this anime season 1 review. Let us know if you want to see more of these. We got a YouTube member, Mr. Stealing Your Wife, who says we got to do Dragon Maid, Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, season 1 and season 2. So if you want to see more anime reviews, let us know. We'd love to do them. Let us know, again, every question I asked before about the cat, about the ending, about the potential for another season. Let us know your thoughts on Odd Taxi as well. And like this video, share this video. Like, it really helps us and we really appreciate it. We're a long form podcast channel. So you being here at the very end means a lot, and you helping spread our show to other people helps us out a lot, because the algorithm doesn't technically always favor these kind of longer form videos.
Yeah.
Before we go, we're going to quickly get through our Wonder Circle, which is where our beautiful AI goes through comments that you left on previous videos. She picks a couple of them out, she reads them, and we respond to them. So if you would like comments read by her on a future episode, all you got to do is comment on this episode or any of our previous episodes. But with all that said, Volume 1, Sean, can you take it away with the first comment, please?
This one comes from Bear Lover. I don't think I'd ever want a kid, but Anya is so darn cute that I kind of want one.
Oh,
I swear to God, I thought the exact same thing like last week. Anya is so adorable, and I mean, you don't know what you're gonna get, but it is just like, damn, Anya's so freaking cute. I love her. I love
Anya.
her.
I mean, dude. I mean, the closer we get to the Spy Family anime, the more excited I get, dude. Like, I mean, I have been so lucky, and I've been able to kind of forget about it for a little while. But I was reminded the other day that it's coming out soon. So now it's all I can think about again. And I got to forget about it again, because otherwise time will never move.
That's true.
Will never tick.
It feels like that.
Yeah, I mean, Anya's cute enough to make anybody have a kid.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And that's what I think. If you got a partner that doesn't want to have a kid, you know, you just show them a picture of Anya, maybe show them a clip of Anya, maybe show them, a Spy Family manga, maybe leave it laying around.
Yeah.
And they'll change their mind.
Yeah, for sure.
They'll change their mind.
They'll be like, oh, okay. I mean, I don't know if it's promised that they'll have like, powers to read your mind, but you never know.
Yeah. Volume 1, Chuck, can you hit us with the next comment, please?
This one comes from Kia Noosh Tamal. Top 5 protagonist and antagonist would be good.
Yeah, we've done a video on our top 5 manga, top 5 anime. we've talked about doing top 5 protagonists and antagonists, and I think it'd be a great idea. I think it'd be a lot of fun to do.
Yeah.
Like we kind of said in the beginning of this video, the volume 1 slot, no matter what we kind of do, I know Demon Slayer season 2 was a little bit of an exception, but no matter what we do in the volume 1 slot, hopefully it can always and will always be something that you don't have to have had read up to a certain amount or watched to a certain amount to listen to or to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So we really are interested in experimenting with this slot and doing anime reviews, continuing to do manga reviews, and then possibly every now and then sprinkling in some different types of videos like top protagonists, antagonists.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. That's going to do it for the Wonder Circle. The only thing we got left to do now is to thank our wonderful, beautiful, amazing Patreon members.
Yay!
Thank you so much for your support. It means the absolute world to us. You guys are amazing. You guys are special. You guys are, the fact that you're in the fact that you got in our cab, the fact that you got in our cab and let us drive you around.
I'll pay for your fare.
I'll pay for your fare. I'll keep you safe, dude. Otakawa was keeping people safe. Like he kept the lottery guys safe. He was trying to keep that alpaca safe. He was trying to keep everybody safe. And I am dressed like Otakawa, and I am also here to tell you that as if you are a Patreon or YouTube member, I'll protect you.
That's nice.
I'll protect you because you're worth it. And even if you're not a YouTube member or Patreon member, you are still worth it. But I'm trying to, I'm trying to continue with the analogy of like having people, because if the YouTube and Patreon members are in the cab, everybody else is maybe like on the radio or something, or maybe everybody else, because I don't want to say they're on the side of the road. That's
no, on the radio, like we're listening to you and we appreciate you every day.
Yeah. But if you want to get into that cab, that's the whole point. If you want to get into that cab, then all you got to do is go to patreon.com/volume1pod or click join on this video to become a YouTube member. You get early access to all of our episodes and access to our exclusive bonus Patreon podcast, Volume 1 Extra. But we appreciate your support no matter how you choose to show it, whether it's paid or not paid. We love you. We appreciate you. And Mehgan, tell them some other things they can do for free to show their love and support.
Yeah, if you don't have any money, you can do some things that are free 99. Instead of paying for that cab fare, you can comment on any one of our videos, a comment, a period, a letter, Algorithm Gang, and become gang affiliated with the Algorithm Gang today. It really helps us out, and it helps spread our videos far and wide across the globe. And, every like, every comment engages the algorithm, and it acts as a free tip to us, and it really helps us out. So join today.
Yes, help us out. Join the Algorithm Gang. We love you no matter how you choose to show your support. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. The only thing left to do now is to get out of here, and our outro is always the same and never changes, which today is
peace out, Akawa.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
Really?
You killed it.
Yay!
Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And until next time,
peace out, Akawa.
Oh, yeah. Go listen to the OST, the OP again. Enjoy it. Live your best life. Have a great day. Seize the day. The day is yours.
Get in that cab.
Get in that cab.